Welcome. I'm Javier Zuluaga with the AZ in the Circle Arizona Softball Podcast, where we love to shine a light on hardworking and talented high school players, college players, and also hardworking, talented coaches. So today in the circle with us, that's rare to say because usually I say behind the plate when I'm talking about you, Charlie. But in the circle with us today is Charleigh Schuettler out of Sandra Day O'Connor High School. You'll play with Athletics Mercado AZ-Mo. And welcome to the show.
Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yep, absolutely. We want to dig in right away and talk about recap on 2023 because you had pretty much a phenomenal 2023. I want to talk about your recruitment journey. Everyone always says it's just so different. Everyone's journey is their own, and I absolutely agree with that. And I just want to be able to give you an opportunity to tell your story. And then lastly, I want to end with, hey, if you could go back and talk to yourself now, knowing what you know now, then what would you say to yourself? So we'll dig right in. Let's do a recap on 2023. In the spring, last spring, or in the spring of 2023, you played at Sandra Day O'Connor, which is a very stacked team.
Yes.
Yeah, you made first team all region. Congratulations.
Thank you. Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the high school season. That was your sophomore season, right?
Yes.
Tell me about how it went, how far you guys got into the playoffs, etc.
Well, we found a lot of success that year. We were top 6 in 6A.
Top 6 in 6A.
Yes, that's
the highest level of softball in Arizona.
Yes, 6A is the highest conference, the highest division there is in Arizona, and we reached the final 6 or top 6 in the playoffs last year. So, and it was a great season. What I love most about that school is just the coaches really build a healthy and great team chemistry, and I think that leads a lot to our success because you're with those girls every single day and you're playing with them every day, and it's for like 3 months, 4 months, and so you want to get along with each other well, and that way you can trust each other on the field.
Yeah, and being at a very competitive high school at the highest level in Arizona, it seems like you go from club where it's pretty intense, and now you're going to a high school that's pretty intense. But I think it probably benefits you going into the summer ball season. Would you say?
Yes. I'll say I'm very grateful for being in the 6A conference because you're able to play against some of the top teams in the state or top high school teams in the state, which keeps you in good shape when summer comes around and you're going back to club.
That's good. And then did I hear this right? Last year you had your school has had a couple Gatorade Player of the Years.
Yes.
There. Grace Lyons was one of them.
She might have been, yes. We had Haley Busby from Oklahoma State, Jocelyn Erickson,
yes,
who's at Oklahoma, or now at Florida, and I believe Riley Holtorf, who's at Washington. She might have been
And they come back to visit sometimes and talk?
Yes, they'll come back and talk to us, really about anything, maybe about their process, maybe about their experiences in college, just whenever they can. It's really nice to hear from them and have them still be involved from where they came from.
Great. Well, that's great to hear. I mean, that's awesome that those awesome softball players come back and give back to you guys, and you guys get a glimpse of what their life is like now.
Yes.
And it's a good growth for you guys to experience, I imagine.
Yes.
And summer ball. So then you finished your season. You ended up in the top 6 at 6A. Then you went on to play summer ball at Athletics Mercado 16U, right?
Mm-hmm.
Mo Mercado is the coach there. Tell me about that, because I know you guys had a great run in the summer, and it seemed like you guys kept getting better and better, and then you got to the Alliance, and you can take it from there.
Yeah, well, I'd say I just joined that team in January, and then I kind of left for high school, and then coming back, we had a great summer season, found lots of success, and honestly, by the time it came to Alliance Nationals, we were winning a lot of games. We were playing these better teams, and we were winning against these better teams, and it was just incredible to see the growth from January to July on how much we improved as a team.
Yep. You guys made it to the Elite Eight in Tier 2 of the Alliance.
Yes.
That's pretty good. You guys went all the way to, I think you guys ended up finishing in the top maybe five or six again.
Mm-hmm.
And that set you up for fall. Well, that set you up basically for September 1st, correct?
Yes.
Because after the Alliance, you have a few more weeks, and then September 1st rolls around. Tell me about that, your recruitment journey in general, like your overall take on it. Was that stressful going into that summer, going into September 1st? Some takeaways. I'd love to hear about it.
I'll say there were lots of up and downs. December, I remember, so that was December of 22. I remember, like, almost having a meltdown and, like, freaking out knowing that, like, I got, like, 6 months, and that's when summer starts, and summer's going to be, like, it's really big. Coaches are going to come and see me, and this is, like, I was putting a lot of unnecessary pressure on myself, like, oh, this is my last shot, but really it's not. But, yeah, there were lots of ups and downs, but I was really grateful to have such a huge support system within the Athletics Mercado organization. And I'll say there's a lot of work that goes into recruiting, especially a lot more than what players think.
Yep. Super. And with that said, you told me before you had a system or a process, mm-hmm. because it's a lot to keep track of. You might go to a tournament and a coach is there and maybe they saw you, maybe they're interested in you, but you don't want to leave a stone unturned. So tell me about the system and process you had to keep track of possible coaches that were interested in you, or maybe schools that you were interested in, and what were you doing actively to recruit those schools so September 1st came around, maybe they'd be interested. Can you expand on that, please?
Yes, so as I formulate my list of schools, I cast a very wide net. I think I had about 40 schools that I was emailing every weekend before and after every tournament. And so I had like a list. I had 4 different lists. One was like my dream schools, which I thought, again, this is just my perception, but I thought would be my perfect fit, which it balanced my academics and my athletics. Then at my second list was like heavy athletic schools, very big schools. These are your Power 5 schools, maybe like World Series kind of schools. And then I had my academics. I included my Ivies, maybe some mid-majors that like were really advanced in the STEM department and what I wanted to study. And then I had my 4th section, which was kind of where I added and subtracted a lot of schools. Like maybe these were coaches that I met at camps that I hadn't met before, or schools that I hadn't heard of before, and like I wanted to keep in touch with, or I had met the coach and so I was going to keep in touch with them. And so yeah, from there I kind of, those were all the schools that I was emailing or DMing. And then I had a kind of a graph sheet of paper. I had a list of all of them, and then I kept track what date I sent emails, whether or not they viewed my profile or even opened the email, and obviously that was through the help of sports recruits. And then I had another row of whether or not I went to a camp at that school, and whether or not I followed that school and their coaches on X and Instagram, and whether or not they followed me back. And it's just to keep track of my relationship with those schools and the relationships those schools have with me. And that helped a lot, especially when it came to narrowing down my list the summer before September 1st and even after September 1st, just knowing just gauging everybody's interest, because it's a two-way street, whether like I'm interested in them and they have to be interested in me.
Gotcha. So it sounds like you went through some great sales training, because that sounds like, hey, if you want to be a great salesperson, you got to keep track of your sales force and what leads, the Glen Ross leads, what's going on and who's interested. And so that's in and of itself, it's, I don't know, you probably never thought about that, but it's probably good training for down the road in your career, where you're trying to keep track of transactions and relationships and being successful and closing deals. So
yeah, so it was a lot of work. I was probably spending a couple hours sending emails, and some of them were like, copy and paste, and that's, you want to make it personal too. And so if
copy and pasting maybe just a schedule.
Exactly. I'm copy pasting my schedule, And but then if I had a personal relationship or I knew something was going on within their program or something was going on with that coach, I would always make sure to include it and be like, oh, congrats, coach, on this, this, and this, or congrats on your team, this, and this, especially like that May, June time of year when they're heading into the World Series. Like, that's a great way to personalize your email and show your interest.
That's great. Now, a word from our sponsor. Pure Green Juice Bar in Tempe, Arizona. It's located off of Mill and 3rd Street, just behind Daily Jam. They are big supporters of ASU softball, so much so that they're offering 10% off any smoothie if you go get juiced up before the game. So pre-game at Pure Green Tempe, 10% off any smoothie in the house. And then when the Sun Devils win, for the next 24 hours, you get 15% off anything on the entire menu. So go Devils. And remember, whether that's a home game or an away game, anytime they win, you get 15% off the entire menu. They got great acai bowls. In the morning, they got great avocado toast, great different things. So, hey, Pure Green Tempe. And what do you think, what were some of the most, you said a lot, and that's awesome. And you really invested in it, and that's why you're at where you're at. So congratulations. What do you think were some of the most productive things that you did that produced the most results and maybe garnered the most interest from college coaches? What was it the camps? Was it the videos you sent out? Was it the visits? What do you think?
I would say a combination of it all. I sent a lot of emails, and that's just a great way to have your name at the top of their inbox, and that way they see you and they see that you're interested because, like, as I said before, like, it's a two-way street. Like, they want to know that you're interested. They're not going to just find you. They're not just going to show up at your game. So emails, and then DMing on X or even Instagram. I never did it over Instagram, but I know it's a possibility, I believe. But just DMing over X makes it that much more personal. Because when your notification shows up on their end, they automatically see your bio, they see all the film that you post on there, and they probably, I believe that they would get fewer DMs than they do emails. I'm assuming these coaches are getting hundreds and hundreds of emails, but if you're one of the few that are taking the time to DM them over these social media platforms, you have a higher chance of them seeing you in your profile.
Yeah, I would agree with you. Great tip. And then as you mentioned the Alliance and doing so well there was one of your teammates, a pitcher there, Marley. Mm-hmm. She pitched outstanding during the Alliance, and Rutgers was there to see you.
Yes.
And I understand that they became well interested in Marley, too, because she did great. And then you guys both got to visit Rutgers on your official visit. Tell me about that. How cool was that?
It was super cool to have someone to share the experience with. We rode together. We went to the games together. We even took our photos together. And it was just a lot of fun to be able to share it with her and her family.
That's good. And then how about the moment where you put all this work in and you go on the official visits and you had a fantastic time at Rutgers. Tell me a little bit about the experience when Coach Butler actually reached out to you and said, hey, Charlie, we want you to be part of Rutgers. Tell me how that went down.
I'll say, so you're just talking about September 1st itself, or are you talking about the visit?
No, just actual when it came down to, hey, it could be September 1st. Whenever it happened that Coach Butler said, hey, we want you to be part of Rutgers.
Okay, so September 1st, they called me at midnight or 12:01, and I actually, sorry Coach Butler, but I was asleep, and I woke up with 3 missed calls from Coach Butler, from Coach Nat, and I think even a text message, and so I could already tell that they were really interested, and it was great. Really exciting. And then on my visit, hopefully they'd be interested in me if they were able to pay for my visit and make it official. But when we went into their little conference room and she gave me the offer and slid the paper across the desk and it was we really want you to come here, that was when it was kind of a weight off my shoulders and just really relieving, and almost I think my dad and I almost started tearing just because it was this is
an awesome moment.
Yes,
that's great. And then a little bit after that, maybe a few weeks later, you finally you you made your decision, and how was that? How'd that go down? Did you call coach? Did you tell me a little bit about that?
Okay, so I went on my visit with my dad, and so we came back and we were talking to my mom because obviously this is a very big decision, so it's going to be a family decision, and so there were still some questions that we had, and I think 2 weeks after my visit, I went out for a camp. I just wanted to see how they interacted with their players.
Back at Rutgers. You went to the Rutgers camp.
To Rutgers.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yes. So I went back out to New Jersey, but this time it was with my mom. So I was at the camp to see their coaching styles, how they interact with players, and kind of to see them doing their thing. Now that they've seen me do my thing, I wanted to see like how they coached and interacted with their athletes. And so it was also another opportunity for my mom to see the campus and for my mom to meet the coaches. And that way she could kind of get the whole red carpet feel that they had given us or they had given me with my dad. They could take her through it. Like, it was kind of treated like an unofficial visit because obviously it was on our dime, but the coaches were really helpful and they brought us into their dorms, the apartments, and like the other athletic buildings for my mom.
Like a tour.
To give her a tour as well.
If your daughter's going to come here, here's where she's going to stay. And
exactly. And then after that, I still had questions. Like, I wanted to make sure I got everything cleared up before I said yes. And so I had one last phone call with Coach Butler. I asked her my 2 or 3 questions, and she had answered them perfectly. I got what I wanted. I heard what I needed. And so I told her, I was like, Coach Butler, I would love to come play for you. And that was kind of what happened. I actually took the phone call after school, and I was in my head coach's office, Coach Hobson's office at O'Connor, and called Coach Butler right after school.
Oh, that's awesome.
Yeah,
that's great. And then I'm sure, from what I understand, you when the girls found out on your club team, they were super excited for you.
Yes, of course. Mm-hmm.
Golfed you in hugs and celebrated.
Mm-hmm.
That's awesome.
I wasn't actually going to tell him. I wasn't sure. I had taken that phone call that Tuesday after school, and I wasn't sure. Like, I was still kind of soaking it up for myself, and then comes around practice Tuesday night, and so I told him, and yes, it was. I felt so much love.
That's good. And then how's it been since you've had that weight? I guess because you described it as a weight on your shoulder. Mm-hmm. How has playing softball, knowing that you got your college waiting for you there, has that changed or affected the way you play softball? I mean, you're super aggressive, but I'm saying, maybe with your emotions or maybe less stress or less pressure. What do you? How would I say that better? You know what I'm trying to say?
Yes. So I'll say it's so nice not to have to send all these emails anymore. Like, selfishly, okay. It's nice to not have to do that. But on the other end, there's always a pressure like, oh, well, and I'll say this is something that I had struggled with, and I'm still, like, it'll still come back after maybe a bad game or something. It'll be like, oh, well, I'm this D1 athlete. Like, I should not be striking out, or I should be having like home runs every at bat or something. Like, you put this pressure on yourself thinking like, oh, well, I'm committed to this school. But what really is they're not recruiting you because you're a D1 athlete now. They're recruiting you because they see your potential. And so that's something that I still deal with sometimes, but I'll say it's really nice, and it has sorry, let me rephrase this. It gives you a different purpose. Instead of trying to knock on everybody's door and like try and get yourself out there, now you're bettering yourself for this school, and like you have a purpose and something to direct your efforts to.
That's good. That's well said. That's good.
You.
And I've had the opportunity to see you play in the fall, and you killed it, okay? Yeah. You had 10 home runs, right? I remember talking, it was the night before the last game, and you were sitting on 9 home runs, and your dad was like, oh, that'd be great if you get the 10th run. 9 was great too. And so in your last at-bat, I don't know if you realize that, your last at-bat, and well, for this fall, you got another fall to go in your senior year, you hit that bomb, oppo over the right center gap,
yes.
And that was your 10th home run, so you end up leading your club. who, by the way, is supposedly ranked in the top 20 in the country for Alliance. How they keep rankings.
Oh,
so
nice.
you guys would be set up well for Alliance come this summer.
Yeah.
So nice job.
Thanks.
Yeah. And last question here. What would you tell your younger self? So we're doing a pretty cool, I think it's a cool series where we're asking a senior in college, a junior in college, a sophomore in college, a freshman in college, a senior in high school, and then you, a junior. What would you tell your younger self, if you could talk to yourself, knowing what you know now, go back, your sophomore year when you're on the clock, and you're doing all these systems, what would you say to your younger self?
Well, I told myself a lot to trust the process, and that was my constant reminder, and that's what I told myself every day, was just to trust the process. And so what I would go back and tell myself, in addition to that, would be to know who your supporters are and take advantage of the opportunities you get and the tools and the access you have in order to get recruited. And I'll also say, don't put all your eggs in one basket. So.
Yeah, that's good. Well, you seem to follow your own advice.
Yes.
Yeah. You kind of knew what was going on there, and you cast a wide net, and then you found out quickly who your supporters were, I imagine.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yes, I'm very grateful for the Athletics Mercado organization. I don't think I would have been able to be where I am without it. So I'm very grateful.
That's awesome. Well, Charlie, thanks for sharing your insight. I appreciate you being a straight shooter with us. Mm-hmm. And then thank you all out there for watching us. And if you felt like we earned your subscription and your like, then click down below, or whatever you got to do. And thanks again for watching AZ in the Circle, Arizona Softball Podcast, where we highlight talented, hardworking high school softball players and coaches at the high school and collegiate level. Appreciate it.